All right, Brian Richardson here in the Hilton, where the Skeptics track is hosted, and that's where we found James Randi. Let's see what he's got to say about DragonCon 2012. You were working with Alice Cooper this time because you were going over aspects of the tour setup that you did with him. Describe a little bit of your professional relationship with Alice Cooper.
Well, I must tell you, first of all, after we left the stage the other day, we did 1 hour, and that time just went like that. Right. Talking over old times, you tend to do that. And when we got backstage, his wife jumped on him and said, "You didn't tell him about this and that," and he said, "Oh, yeah." And then I came up with an idea, and I said, "Yeah, and Coop, I did. We should have talked about Venezuela or whatever, you know." And he said, "Yeah, we could have gone on for another hour and held that audience transfixed. Not one person left. I was watching." But no, it was a lot of fun to see Coop after all these years. But I had a good time. I worked on the $1 Billion Babies tour some years ago with Alice, and I chopped his head off every night, and it never worked. He was always back the next night. The guillotine blade would come slamming down, and I'd see the head go into the basket, and I'd say, "Well, made it this time." And damn, there he was again at the end of the show.
It's hard to do an encore, you know, when they chop your head off at the end of the show. The encore's a little unconvincing.
Well, the resurrection is very convincing, though. Yeah.
Oh, that would be good. At least that would have happened once, and people would have seen it. That's nice.
Exactly. At least once, yeah.
Right. So, DragonCon, you're normally attached to our skeptics and kind of critical thinking movement. Why do you think that it's so important to focus on that at a convention that, you know, from most people's standpoint, is media or science fiction related?
You know, the magicians have a peculiar interest in this thing. Now, not all magicians agree with me.
Right.
I just received a very outstanding honor at the Magic Castle for the Guild of Magical Arts, and it was a big ceremony in a huge theater in Los Angeles. And when I addressed the audience of magicians, mostly magicians and their family, I asked them specifically, you know, would you join me in getting active in promoting the idea of rationality, that magicians are actors, that we play the part of magicians, of conjurers, who can alter the nature of science and of the universe around them and everything. We're fakes, we're actors, but we do it for a good cause. It's called entertainment. But there are other fakers out there who lie to their audiences and mislead them emotionally and financially.
Right.
And these are crooks. These are crooks that we should be fighting. And I looked at the audience, and when I got my applause on that, about 30% of the audience was sitting there with their arms folded in a very bad attitude because they don't like that idea. They say that they seem to think, and these are in many cases professional magicians, they really seem to think they should let everybody tell all the lies they want and cheat the public. Magicians don't cheat the public. They give them entertainment.
Right.
They walk out there on stage, say, "I'm going to fool you," and they do, I hope, if they're competent at it.
Yes.
And they are very entertaining.
Well, do you think that it's people don't want to admit that they've been fooled? Is that why they kind of go along with the ones that have the bigger personas?
There's a certain amount of truth in that. It's very hard to get people to have to admit to themselves even, "I was completely taken in by this evangelist," or whatever. Now, we confronted people at faith healing meetings when we pointed out to a woman, for example, now, quick example, she walked up on stage with 2 canes. And the healer was Peter Popoff at this time.
Right.
He called her and he threw her canes away, and he told her to walk around in a circle, and she could walk around in a circle with great difficulty, but she made it. And he said, "Hallelujah, praise Jesus," the whole thing. And then she left the stage, but she picked up her canes. That wasn't on camera, you see. She picked up the canes and walked off the stage. And we got in touch with her afterwards, and I called her over and I said, "Don't you think that was rather deceptive?" And she smiled, leaning on her canes, and she said, "Well, perhaps." And I said, I believe it was deceptive because you gave the impression that you were walking without your canes." And she said, yes, I agree. Perhaps it was a bit deceptive. She started to walk off, and then she looked over her shoulder and said, "But I still believe." That's sad that people can't face reality.
Well, I am facing the reality we're at the end of our time, and I believe that I've had a great time talking to you, sir.
Thank you so much.
So I have proof of this, too, because we videotaped things. So, James Randi, I hope to see you.
Tell.
Oh, no. I hope that we see you again in another future DragonCon. Thank you very much.
I hope to be here every year.